Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming back to number three, our third podcast. Last week, we started with our quote about it takes pressure for the diamond. And that was a quote from Elijah. And just wanted to tell everybody who Elijah is. Elijah is our tech guy. He's our guy that's kind of getting this happening and getting us up to speed. So I want to thank Elijah for all his hard work and his knowledge and his wisdom and everything else. So we want to start with a quote, and I found a quote that I thought was good about what follow up of what we talked about a little bit last time. And the quote goes like this: "Suffering in search of truth gives true meaning to the truth," by Mayetta Ashby. These are ancient Egyptian proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talked a lot about the truth, finding the truth, and we had some good talks. So we want to continue with that. And one of the things that you and I have talked about is we wanted to give a little bit of a history of our programs, our educational programs, our professional experience with each other.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you recall us coming together and how we started and kind of how we progressed during the time working together in our programs.
Okay. When we were working at that juvenile facility, I was a counselor, and I remember you were a teacher. And so what I used to do is I used to pay attention to you, and I don't think we talked a whole lot, but every now and then, but I watched how you dealt with children and things like that. So when when the principal gave me the go ahead on starting the COPS program, he said, and I said, well, can I have a teacher? And he said, well, who do you want? And I said, I want Larry Coonrat. That's when that's when I went to Larry, okay? And I talked to you, and you said, okay. And then we started out in the park in Santa Ana, in the little park. And the thesis of what we were going to do, and I think we talked about it, as a one-stop shopping center for students. So we were going to do the academic, the social by going to ROP vocational, and we're going to try to get them shadowing and part-time jobs. And also, if any students were eligible to go to community college, we were going to do that. So what our site was a hub for students to get there, and we supplied all these services for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we branched out to Garden Grove, doing the same thing. We got sites that we had students from there, and we got a lot of referrals from each city. Each district referred us, as well as probation people referred the students to us, and then we got rolling. And then I think we started out in '90, and I think we went good for about 3 or 4 years.
I think it was closer to 5. I think
5 years.
95.
And the sad part about it is, we used to get there at 6:00 in the morning, and we used to meet kids at McDonald's, and we had kids FedExing their homework to us and stuff like that.
Right.
And this is the thing that was going on, was people said, "Oh, you guys can't do that. It's impossible for you to be able to do those things that you're doing." Well, I had a creative mind, and I understood the system, and we had seat time everywhere we went, okay, and we kept all the work that all the students did. You remember that?
Right.
Every
File
piece
box and everything.
Yeah, and every student had a folder, and every student had all of the work that we assigned graded and in their folder, and we had all the academic stuff. And back then, we were able to do. We were able to use the what was that? What was that? That we would give them if the 50 credits for electives, what was that? What
The
was that?
career occupation, the COPS, the
The
career
cops. We were
occupation
able to,
program
yeah,
survey.
yeah, we were able
Right.
to give them that, and if they passed that, they would be able to get 50 credits. And all we were able to do was do the academics, and that's how we were able to graduate. I don't know how many kids we graduated from 80, from 90 to 90. Put it like 95. I don't know how many, but we graduated a bunch. But what always happens when the people in charge can't explain what's going on. You know, the words we, you know, the kind of words we would get was that, oh, these guys are scamming and jamming and whatever, la 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 la. So what they did, you remember, Larry? They split us up. You remember that?
Right.
And I said, well, why don't you move me to go somewhere else? And they said, no, you stay here. We're gonna move Larry. And so that let me know that they were coming after me. Okay.
Mhm.
And they did an audit. They brought in a super audit guy, and he went through all that paperwork, and guess what he come up with? Zero problems.
Right. Right.
Okay. And we covered all the ADA that we were claiming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that killed the program at that level. So that means that's when I went to over to Yale, then did and worked there for a couple of years, and then and I think it was '97. That's when they closed down Yale, and then that's when I went and opened up the program again by myself over off of it was a Euclid, no, not Euclid, but Edinger.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Right.
remember when I
And
went? Yeah,
right.
I went there at Edinger and did it there, and then they closed that down, and I went to the site on 17th Street where they had that program, and then they closed that down, and then I went to and every place we were going, we were doing good. Okay, so that was 2000, and then that's when they opened up single gender. You remember single gender?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So that I had a little space with all my students, and we didn't interact with single gender. I had my own little room, and we were always like I always do, run my own program. You remember? So that was
Right.
2000. Okay, and we got so big that we had to go to another site down the street, and then after we got there, we got even bigger, and that's when we went to the warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay, and at the warehouse,
August House.
that's what we went to the warehouse. We were still called. What was the other name we had?
Operation
Uh,
Success.
yeah, we were still Operation Success. Okay, and the reason why I changed it because the principal had sent a dude over to be there, and he was. I ain't gonna mention no names, but he was a flake.
Mm-hmm.
But then he took over. He went over to. He was only supposed to be with me for 6 months, and so I split him up. I split the kids up and gave him some kids, so he have some kids over there at the single gender. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
And he said he was telling everybody, "I'm running a mini Operation Success."
Those were his words.
Those are his words. And so what did I do? I changed the program to August House.
Right. I remember we talked about that, and you found that name, and you liked that name, and that
Yeah, I like the
was a
name.
good name.
And so at August House, at that time, I had over, we had over 125 students, and we ran a teen moms program with about 15 moms and babies. Okay,
Right. Right.
so because that place was huge, so they could come in, and I bought stuff so they could have cribs and baby stuff and stuff like that on the other side of the site. And so I mean we were doing great. And then guess what happened? They closed it down like they always do, and they moved us up to. That's when you came aboard. You were there for about a minute, right?
Right.
And then they changed it and they sent us up to 17th Street. You remember?
Yeah.
Okay, that's when you got the snakes in there and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the genesis was that's when we were there for. Wow, how long were we at 17th Street? We were there for until 2010, because that's when they opened up Harbor Learning Center. Okay,
Right.
okay, and then 2010, and that's when we split up for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the hall, and I went over there, and then I retired from that program. I ran the operation. August House in my own classroom from there, and like always, it was always successful, and they couldn't explain why. Everybody else had 20 kids with 10 kids showing up. I got 60 kids with 40 kids showing up.
Right.
But anyway, the gist of the whole situation is when you service the students will go where they're going to get serviced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no matter who it is. Okay, because those young people, all they want in their life is somebody to care about them, give them guidance and direction.
Right.
Am I right or wrong?
Yeah. No, that's it. That's a key ingredient.
So that's a little bit of history about me and you, and that covers. Wow, that just covers from 90 to 2010.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we go back to Joplin, and when you came as a sub, and our buddy Bill, he told me, he said, give my buddy a shake, and I said okay, and you came aboard, and I gave you a shake, and we've been shaking ever since then.
Shaking and baking, yeah, shaking and baking.
We were shaking and baking every 30-some years, okay?
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed our interaction.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me ask you a question.
What's that? Okay. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, okay, sure.
What was your perspective on what we did and how we got going and connected? What is your truth?
Well, for me, I worked in probation before I got my teaching credential, and my idea was always to maybe leave corrections and go to the public school system, and I wanted to coach and just be part of that. I kind of wanted to step away. So I did for a year. I left and went to a public school. I coached football and swimming and wrestling and was all busy in that. And then at the end of that year, school year, I was laid off. And I had a young family, a mortgage. I had everything, lined up, but nowhere to go to work. So I went back into juvenile court schools and started subbing. And that's when I subbed at Joplin. And was subbing at Joplin. That's where I met you. And then, excuse me. And then I fortunately was able to get my old position back at YGC Rio Contigua and started teaching and was happy to be back and realized that was really where I belonged. And I was teaching for a couple of years. Excuse me. And then that's when, you approached me and mentioned about what was being offered and what was being planned. And I said, yeah, I'd love to try that. I mean, I like challenges. I like something different. So I came on board as a teacher with you at Santiago Park, like you said. And then we really grew fast in those 5 years. We ended up getting another site in Garden Grove, one in Westminster, one in Fullerton. Stanton at the Boys and Girls. We were going to Boys and Girls Clubs, public libraries. We were getting sites that cost no money, but we could go to where the students were and they could easily access it. And then, like you said, we had all the components of a ROP, job experience, work experience, where they would go to work. We would go and visit them on their work sites, support them. And we built this whole kind of comprehensive school program where we not only offered the academics and school credits and high school acquisition, but we also gave them life experiences. And sometimes we would go to their homes, visit
Yes.
them in their homes. And at the end of our day,
Whatever necessary.
right, we would get in the car and we would drive around. And sometimes we'd find students that were kind of walking around and they didn't go to school that day. And we would talk to them and say, hey, come on, you need to come back. And they came back. And like I said, it was a very successful program. And then, of course, my route, then I left and went into went up to Los Pinos and then went into administration and then decided that really wasn't my bag anymore. And so then returned back to you at August House for a couple years and then on to 17th Street. And then that's where, like you said, where we, 2010, that's where we sort of parted ways, but we still stayed in touch and still, maintained our friendship and our relationship.
Well, it wasn't because you and I had a problem. It was because they wanted to. I was going to go to a new site, and you was going to a new program.
Right, and they like you said, one of the things you said several times was they closed the program down. So a question I have is why when you had a successful program where you were not only servicing students, but you were gathering ADA, which helps pay the bills, keep the lights on. Why would they shut those programs down?
How many times did they shut me down?
Well, I think you mentioned about 3 or 4 at least.
Okay. Something that is easy to describe. A black man is not serious. He's doing the side thing. He's doing this. He's shucking and jiving. He ain't doing this and he's not doing it by the book and blah, 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 blah. Okay, you worked with me for how many years, Larry?
Altogether, we said 30, but I think it's more like 35, maybe even more. But
okay,
but
have you ever seen me cut a corner?
No, that was the whole thing. I mean, even if I suggested, well, maybe we could do this or that, you would say, no, we got to make sure that we, cover everything. We make sure that we are accountable and that we keep our. And so, we were kind of working out of our cars. So I had my back trunk of my car full of files and schoolwork and so we kept, like you said, we kept every piece of paper that we ever generated.
But what people didn't realize is the ferocity of my commitment to educating students.
Right.
Okay, because they couldn't see it. Okay, they were comfortable working in the institution. We got to the site at 6 o'clock in the morning and nobody was there.
Right.
And we started our day at 6 and we ended our day at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Because you had to drive all the way to Temecula. You got what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we worked
right.
we worked overtime, but we didn't claim overtime.
Right.
You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, but when people don't understand the process, because a lot of those folks have never, ever, ever, ever been in the trenches. Okay, they're trying to educate these young students in the conventional academic way that they do at the regular high school.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why we were called alternative ed or juvenile court schools.
Right.
Okay, you're dealing with an individual that's not part of the mainstream.
Right.
So you have to be able to do what? You have to address them and give them the support that they haven't been getting in the regular high school, because people don't have time for them. If they're not going on course with everybody else, what happens? They get whooped to the side. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So that's where we got. I mean, think about this, Larry. Think about this. Every student we graduated had to pass before the Casey came up. They had to pass the district graduation test.
Right.
No matter what district they came from, we had to issue them the district graduate test, and they had to pass it with 70%.
Right.
So every kid that we graduated earned their diploma. And think about the 775 students we graduated from 2000 to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
They all had to pass the Casey
Right.
in order to get a diploma.
Right.
You got what I'm saying?
And really, the Casey was a design for the regular sort of student, the regular comprehensive high school student, not the alternative student
Right.
like us. And that's why
Uh-huh.
we really had to work hard to get them to find ways that they could not
Okay.
only sit for the test, but pass it.
Do you realize what the way I designed the program was that a Casey Prep was an elective, so we were working on Casey Prep all throughout the year instead of waiting for November when they did the Casey. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
So we did the slope and we did the writing prompts. Always doing the writing prompts.
Right.
Always working on the writing prompts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that when they sat down to take the Casey, all they had to do was read and do the outline like they had been taught.
Right.
Okay, because the two things that hurt our kids was the slope and the writing prompts.
Right.
And that's what I focused on. Okay, and I had the math teachers teach the guys the slope. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But see, if you don't prepare the student, okay, and we're in our program, we were running what 75, almost 80% passage of the
Right.
Casey,
Right.
and everybody else is going, not even getting 50%.
Well, we not only had to teach the material, but we had to teach them how to take a test.
That's
Most
right.
of them had not
There you go.
had even taken tests and didn't know what that whole concentration, focus for that period of time to pass the test. A lot of
Yeah.
confidence, building confidence,
Right,
and
right,
and
and all the practice tests we did,
Right,
and things
right.
like that.
right. We really were able to empathize with what they were experiencing and
Because
give them that
I wasn't a
opportunity.
test taker myself.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I was at. I remember when I was at Tuskegee, my freshman year at Tuskegee, we had 500 freshmen in biology, and the instructor's name was Twitty. She had been to UCLA, and she gave 500 students, and she must have gave out 10 tests, 10 different tests. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And believe me, and people going around the dorms, oh, I got the test, and I said, no, I told my roommate, I said, we don't need no test, we just got to study the information and let's go for broke. And
Right.
I passed it with I think I got 76. I got 76, and that was a C with a 4-unit class. That was good.
Yeah.
Okay, but I always, even when they was doing the what was that thing they just cut out? What's it called? When it was letting students in for what was that word? They were letting students that didn't qualify to get into college, and they called it what was that program?
Affirmative action? No, not
Yeah,
affirmative
affirmative
action.
action. I didn't even do that when I was. Everything that every degree that I earned, I went to class, I did the paper, and I did everything. I qualified to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't do no affirmative action stuff
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was capable to be a good student. When I went to Cal Poly, I was there for 8 quarters. 8 quarters because it was there for 2. It was 4 quarters, and I was on 8 quarters, and I was on the dean's list for 7 of the 8.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's when Coach Lente told me we didn't send you, we didn't sign you up to go to class because we brought you here to play football.
Right. And that would
And I
be,
laughed at him.
yeah,
And I said, "Are you serious? Are you serious? I'm 26 years old, man. I
yeah,
got a wife and a kid. And I'm trying to get a degree.
yeah,
Okay, I'm
right,
not going to the NFL.
right.
I'm trying to get a Bachelor of Science degree. I got to go to class.
Yeah.
Okay." And there was a whole lot of young black dudes that bought into that and ended up never graduating from college. They played
Right.
football,
Right.
okay, but then they stopped playing football at Cal Poly in 1974. I graduated in 71, and then they stopped playing football in 74 and haven't played football since.
Was that Cal Poly Pomona?
Yeah, Cal Poly Pomona. It's
They
commuter
don't play
school,
football
man.
anymore.
You're not gonna, you get one or two guys, but you don't get guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, my campus job was putting toilet paper in the men's bathroom at the gym.
Water. You used to water the AstroTurf.
Yeah, why did they? No, they didn't have no AstroTurf.
Yeah.
It
Right.
just okay, and just water the turf. Okay, sign
Water
in,
the turf.
and you
Right.
did that. I used to do that in between classes. I,
Right.
I go down there and put toilet paper in the men's bathroom in the gym. Okay,
Yeah. 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 Right.
shucks.
Right. Well, Search for Truth.
Yeah.
So, those various programs that the powers to be decided to shut down or recalculate or whatever, I guess they didn't really see what was going on. They didn't really understand what was going on. They didn't
Well,
see the
well,
truth.
well, because you don't have people who want to deal with the underdog, the bottom
Right.
level. They wanted like Pacific Coast with the independent study program at
Right.
Pacific Coast. That
Right.
was college prep program, but they didn't pay attention to the independent study where they was doing the this and the that and the do the that and that. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Right. Right.
Okay. But they wanted the one that would make the headlines of the Register. You got
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, and they had to be in control of that narrative.
Uh-huh. Right.
So let me ask you a question, Larry. What do you think we could? What do you think we should do on podcast number 4?
Well, I mean, I think continue this conversation.
Okay,
Maybe like if we were going to teach a class to young and upcoming teachers into the alternative ed system, what are some of the key points that we would want to share and attempt to instruct and teach about so that these teachers could be successful? What's the most important thing? If there was one thing that we wanted to instill in new teachers, what would that be?
okay. Are you ready for it, Larry?
I am ready for it.
Fair, honest, and consistent.
Right.
Okay, because if you're fair dealing with human beings, they'll accept that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're honest with them, if they've done something wrong, okay, you've done something wrong, okay, this is not something that you want to be able doing in here, and let's change that behavior. But you have to be consistent with doing all those things.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a lot of teachers would say, "Well, you're talking, and I'm gonna write you up." Okay. And then if you don't stop talking, I'm gonna write you up again. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're talking, hey, let's hold it down, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're talking, you can't be doing any work. But see,
Mm-hmm.
the check and balance on that is that every day, at the end of the day, what did we do, Larry? We checked folders,
Right.
okay? And they had to turn their work in, okay? And every day I initialed what they did. So
Right.
that was a check and balance. And if somebody talked too much, obviously they didn't do a lot of work, did they?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was something that they didn't get credit for.
Right.
You see? And I don't have to yell at them. I don't have to do. I just do it like that. Just like when we did the report cards, and they would say, "Well, how come I only got a half credit or third credit?" Well, You came to school late and you didn't do any work that commiserates with getting full credit.
Right.
Okay, now if you want to change that, you're responsible for changing that, not me. Okay, all you have to do is come to school on time and do your work. All we
Right.
ask you to do is 2 subjects in each one of your classes every day.
Right.
And that should take the day, that should fill the day up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. Well, okay then, Larry. We should close right here and then open up on number 4 with your question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming to our podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And this is
Absolutely.
Larry over here, and I'm Al, and we appreciate any comments or feedback that you give us because we're just trying to find the truth.
Search for the truth.
That's it. We're
It
searching
will
for the
set
truth.
you free.
There you go.